What's up, good people? It's the Cassius Morris Show. Thanks for tuning in to episode number 189. I could not be more honored to be introducing on the podcast today one of the greatest guitar players in the history of rock and roll music. I don't think that's, oftentimes when you state that something's the greatest or one of the greatest, you say debatably. I don't think this is debatably. This dude is one of the top people to ever pick up a guitar. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Ace Frehley on the podcast today, who's getting ready to drop a new project called Origins Volume 2, which is coming out on Entertainment One Records on September 18th, available everywhere. But until then, you can order a pre-ordered copy on e1heavy.com, which I highly recommend. They got some nice assorted colored vinyls. Of course, the CD and streams are for download as well. And between you and me, I've heard the album, and it's not an album that you're going to want to miss if you're an Ace Frehley fan. This project has super hard-hitting guitar riffs, a really nice blend of classic and modern sounds, and the solos. I mean, if you're really somebody who's really into guitar solos and Ace solos, this is really the album for you. Make sure to go follow Ace on all of his social media platforms. You can find them below. Real quick before we jump in, for the regular listeners, you guys remember that I did a poll asking if I should grow a beard. So here is the podcast beard update. I'm getting there slowly but surely. Ace has me beat. He has his nice grown out facial crown, but I will catch up to him surely enough. If you missed that vote, make sure to go check out the new podcast Instagram page at Cassius Show. We're even on TikTok now at Cassius Show. We're not posting funny dances, just clips from the podcast. The other thing to look out for is I'm teaming up with my original co-host on my original podcast. Once again for a reunion. For those who don't know, I started podcasting on a podcast that was actually about Kiss called Creatures of the Net. And I had a co-host named Sapphire Tillman, and she lived in Chicago, and she was a Kiss fan, specifically an Ace fan, who went by the screen name on MySpace, Lady Space. We ended up connecting, and that was really my first time really even ever podcasting. So not only do I owe it to her, I owe it to Kiss, I owe it to Ace, that I ever even started this. So I'm not going to start talking about how sentimental of an experience this was for me. I think it sort of goes without saying once you know those facts. So without further ado, we're all itching to hear it. Let's jump into my exclusive interview with the legendary Ace Frehley.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Ace?
I'm good.
Nice to see you.
This is a first for me. I never did interviews over the computer.
I know, yeah. We're really happy to have you on. We figured it'd be a good way to connect with the fans and really get the word out about Origins Volume 2.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Edmonton, Canada, a city that loves you, of course. You've been here many times.
I used to go out with a gal from Edmonton.
Did you? Really? Was this in the first Kiss tour?
This was in the 90s. She was something, but that was, 30 years ago? She's married with a couple of kids, life goes on.
Yes, it certainly does. And I mean, it seems like life's been going great with you. You have a fantastic new record, Origins Volume 2, which is about to come out, and it's full of amazing covers. I wanted to ask you, why is it important to you at this stage in your career to be sharing covers with your audience?
Well, the whole idea of the Origins series was the record label, not mine. And when they first proposed Origins Volume 1, I wasn't crazy about the idea. But once I got immersed in the process, it became really fun. And once I started getting celebrities to, make guest appearances, it just turned out to be a lot of fun. And this one, I think this one, you can tell I'm having fun with the record. I think it comes across on the tracks, and I'm slated to do an Origins Volume 3 after this next studio record. So,
wow. So that's really exciting. So you got a multi-album deal.
Well, something works, you know. How many Star Wars movies has there been?
I think one too many, some would say. No, I love that. So you're coming in full force. And you know what I noticed, Ace, really with this record is you really can hear how much fun you're having. You know, as somebody who loves to go to concerts, I've been missing that energy. And when I put on Origins Volume 2, it feels like I'm just at the back of the whiskey watching you guys jam out. So I really think you captured a genuine vibe with this.
Yeah, well, I've become pretty proficient, you know, working with Pro Tools, you know, digital recording program. I got a great engineer, Alex Salzman, who co-produced this record with me, played bass on a lot of the tracks. But, you know, the recording process for me is real simple. I just work with me and an engineer, and we just overdub tracks after track after track, you know, using a click track or a drum track. And then we add the drums at the end.
Okay.
Send it off to the mixer, and boom, you got a song.
So you send them a guitar and a bass track, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bass, drums. You know, like when Robin sang 30 Days in the Hole, I sent him a stereo mix of the song without the vocal. Then, he, you know, his engineer put vocals on it, sent it back to us, and we just dropped it into the multi-track in Pro Tools. And, you know, I mean, it's a real easy way to work. I mean, today, you know, a band can record an album. Somebody can be in Canada, somebody can be in Florida, somebody can be in California, and somebody can be in New York, and they can still do a record together.
And then you have a song that's just all of a sudden going to come together from all these different points in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, if everybody, I think it all has to do with, you know, if everybody's head's in the right place. You know, like
Yes.
when, you know, I did the Kiss cruise a couple of years ago, and I'm friends with Bruce Kulick, and he heard that I was doing an Origins Volume 2, and he expressed interest in performing on it. And we're both Hendrix fans, so he picked Manic Depression.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I let him run with it, and it was a lot of fun. Came out good, and showcased him and myself at the end.
Definitely. And oh my gosh, I mean, the solos on here are incredible. I mean, it feels like you're just getting hit over the head.
John 5 just blew me away on hit the solo and on the Beatles song. But the premiere solo that me and John did was on Politician. Because we're both playing solos simultaneously, and we crossfaded them. So if you listen to Politician with headphones, you hear two solos crossfading left to right, right to left.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of some of those classic Zeppelin Cream records when you listen to it and you're going from side to side. Do you find it easier to sort of achieve some of those older effects with the new software?
Well, working with Pro Tools is just a dream come true compared to the old multi-track recording with 2-inch analog tape. You know, whenever you wanted to make an edit back then, you had to cut it with a razor blade and tape it back together and hope it sounds right. But I mean, you know, recording digitally is a click of the mouse.
Definitely. And you've been...
If it doesn't sound right, you hit undo.
That's it. Try it again, right? That's perfect.
You can, and there's no limit to how many tracks you can have. You know, with 24 track tape, you know, we were limited to 24 tracks, and then usually we would get a second 24 track machine and use that as a slave and sync them together. And
wow, so it was a whole process physically.
Excuse me?
It was a whole physical process as well as making the music.
Giant tape machines, Ampex, you know, and we used to use Studer tape machines and giant boards. You know, everything's now, I mean, you can record an album today on a laptop if you know what you're doing, you know, but you need preamps, mics, guitars, amps, drums. But, you know, the brains of it is the microprocessor.
Yes. Is there anything you miss about the classic recording process at all?
Not really. The analog process?
Yeah.
I mean, drums sound better recorded on tape, I must say.
Okay.
You know, There's something about drums being recorded on, especially at 15 IPS. You know, you get natural tape compression that's really hard to duplicate digitally.
Hmm.
But you know, every day somebody's inventing a new plugin for Pro Tools, you know, with a new algorithm that, you know, tries to emulate, you know, vintage tape sounds, and you know,
Wow.
a lot of them sound close.
So they can probably eventually fully recreate it with time.
Yeah, I mean, look at what they do with CGI in movies. You can't tell the difference between what's real and what isn't anymore.
Yeah,
And
from Jaws until now, it's quite a stretch, isn't it?
yeah, I was just telling my girlfriend, you know, actors and actresses are probably going to start renting out their images, and they don't even have to act in the film anymore. They're just
Right.
leasing out their image.
Could be like a hologram.
Exactly.
No, it's in the works for sure. You know, it's funny because I was thinking about this whole pandemic situation, and a lot of people are beginning to resort to home studios. And I was thinking, Ace has been ahead of the curve because you've been using a home studio since what, the early 70s. Is that correct?
Yeah. I
Wow.
originally had a TAC 4-track, and then I got a TAC 8-track that I wrote Rocket Ride on. And I forget what other song. I had a studio in my attic in a townhouse I used to have when I first got married to Jeanette. But I've always been technically inclined. My father's an electrical engineer, so I inherited all that knowledge from him.
Right.
You know, it's never been hard for me. You know, I had the first computers, second, third generation computers when they were first invented. So, you know, I've been a computer buff from day one.
Yeah, definitely. So it must have been sort of easy for you at the time because it you didn't have to make a big transition to a home studio. You already had a home studio.
I mean, I talk to musicians. A lot of them don't understand how to use digital, you know, programs. You know, they
Really?
leave it to the engineer. But then again, everybody isn't as proficient as I am on computers,
Hmm.
because you know I was always interested in computers. I remember before Mac made that jump. You know, the older Macs, you were able to, like hot rod, you could change the processors and put in a
Really?
processor, you know, just like, you know, guys who work on cars put in bigger engines and
Mm.
superchargers and turbochargers, you know, and you could do that with computers, you know, in the 90s. And now it's really not, you can't really do everything sealed up. So.
But you could make a souped out computer back then.
Yeah, well, I used to do animations and stuff. You know, I'm on the Kiss reunion tour. I was the one that did that. I don't know if you remember. I took the 4 solo album covers and morphed
Oh
one
yeah,
into
that was great.
and looped it.
Yeah.
And when Gene saw that, he went out and bought me $3,500 worth of computer equipment and said, "Dude, you know."
Ace is our new tech guy. Well, I know they put a lot of your stuff on the Second Coming DVD that you had made, and there was a lot of interviews with you, of course, and stuff on there. That was
Yeah.
interesting. So let me ask you about this. Which cover for you going into Origins Volume 2 was the one that you said, okay, I really want to nail this specific cover. This one's really important to me.
Well, they were all important to me. I
Of
mean,
course, yeah.
space trucking and We Got to Get Out of This Place were recorded years ago.
Hmm.
Back in Turlock, California, at my friend Matt Swanson's studio, the Creation Lab. But they weren't up to snuff for Origins Volume 1. And I revisited them, redid the vocal, redid the guitar solos, rearranged them a little, tightened them up a little, and they ended up on Origins Volume 2. So, you
Yeah.
know, it's an ongoing process. And like I said, with digital recording, it's a lot easier than it was in the old days to fix stuff and
For
modify.
sure. Yeah, but I guess in the 70s that would have been really difficult to find a song that you had worked on and sort of put it together again from a different place, right?
In the 70s, it was a lot harder, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been really difficult. And I saw you saying that you really didn't think you would ever sing a Paul McCartney song on a record, yet you decided to do it on here, which and I think it came out really nice. I think you're sort of flexing your vocals on this album.
I surprised myself. To be honest with you, I had to drop the tuning down to open D,
Okay.
uh, so I could sing it because I'm no virtuoso lead vocalist. I don't even consider myself a lead singer. Pretty much I'm a guitar player first, producer, songwriter. I
Hmm.
sing out of necessity, not because I really want to. I rather just play guitar. It's more fun.
Right. Well, a lot of people say the same thing about Jimi Hendrix, though. But hey, I mean that's fantastic. That's the best, right? It can't beat that. Who do you think Ace is? Do you think that there's someone who takes the crown for the greatest rock band of all time? And if so, who is that in your opinion?
Well, for me, it's probably Led Zeppelin. I was
Led
at their
Zeppelin.
first New York appearance at the Fillmore East. They were opening up for Iron Butterfly, and I'll never forget that as long as I live. They just commanded the audience, and they were the opening band. And then after they finished performing, half the people in the Fillmore East walked out on the headliner.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty embarrassing for Iron Butterfly. But, everybody was there to see Led Zeppelin. A lot of industry people were there. I remember that night very well. I was about 17, I think.
And the industry people were ready because they said, we heard about this band called Led Zeppelin. We're going to check them out.
But there was already a buzz. I mean, Jimmy Page had played with, what's that group?
It's escaping me at the time.
Whatever. I mean, Jimmy Page was already a studio musician. He had a reputation. All the guys in that band, people, except for Robert Plant. Robert Plant was kind of an unknown. He was the wild card, but, there's only one Robert Plant,
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
really special, very unique sounding band. Nobody sounded like Led Zeppelin. Nobody ever will.
No, I completely agree. And funny enough, wasn't it the same with you guys in Kiss back in the day when you would come to open up for certain groups like Blue Oyster Cult, I heard, and you would basically blow the roof off before the headliners.
Well, a lot of bands didn't want us to open for them because we're a tough act to follow. The bombs, the fire, the explosions, the smoke. Who wants to follow that?
Yeah.
For a while we had a big problem, finding opening slots. So we ended up headlining, and I mean, a lot of people used to think we came from Detroit because we were headlining Cobo Hall when in New York and California we were still playing 2,500 seat venues.
Wow.
Cobo Hall's 12,000. So.
Wow. That's
I think
amazing.
the live album is the record that really broke us, and we started headlining everywhere. That was the record that did it. Our fourth album.
Do you feel like people just needed more availability to that live Kiss sound to really connect with it?
Well, I think our strength was not just the music, but the show.
Yeah.
And the live album, with the booklet and everything, it was like a souvenir of the concert. And I think that's why it made such a big impact on people. A lot of guitar players come up to me and say, after I heard that live record, and heard you play guitar, I wanted to play guitar. So I influenced a lot of guitar players with that record.
Yeah, for sure. And there were some pictures of you with Dimebag Darrell circling around from when you guys did the photo shoot. Of course, I mean, any words you can share about him? Because you had a huge influence on him, of course.
Well, we were good friends. I spent the weekend at his house, before his untimely passing. He had my face tattooed on his chest, the makeup.
Wow.
I'm still really good friends with his girlfriend, Rita. It was unfortunate his brother recently passed away.
Yeah.
So he asked me in a previous interview, what's one of the merchandise items that make you cringe a little that Kiss put out, and I said the Kiss coffins.
Oh, yeah.
Vinnie Paul was buried in a Kiss coffin, and I had to make a little speech outside at the cemetery, and it was weird seeing it, knowing Vinnie was inside this box and my face was on it. You know,
That's something not many people have experienced.
huh?
That's something not many people have experienced.
No, you know, I mean, Gene will put the Kiss logo on anything. I knew he'd be coming out with masks. I didn't figure out.
That one, yeah, you could probably see that one coming, right? So that might have been the latest thing that you saw that you were kind of like, oh no.
I don't know. I think we're on our third pinball machine or fourth pinball machine, slot machine. I'd like to do an Ace Frehley slot machine. I got some good ideas.
No, that'd be cool. Well, there is a Kiss one that I saw in Vegas.
Just implementing them, you know, getting the right people to follow through with the company, because I'm always doing stuff.
Yes.
But I'm not that great a business manager, and you know.
Well, I think you're doing great, man. I think you're doing awesome with it. Of course. You know, on your record, you do the cover of Cream Politics. I'm curious, is that sort of maybe a tongue-in-cheek way of giving your thoughts on some of the things going on in the world right now, or is it completely irrelevant and you just chose it?
Which song?
The Cream Politics.
You know, I don't think politics and music mix, and I just recorded that song because I like the guitar riff. I didn't even pay that much attention to the vocals. And you know, somebody said to me, the Animals song, "We Gotta Get Out of This Place," is an anti-Vietnam War song. I don't know. I just, you know, I like the riff. I like the guitar.
You like the riff, and that's good. And I just wanted to give you the chance to say that because, of course, with an election coming up, people will try to find a way to spin things. So it's good that you just said, I just like the riff, and I agree with you. I like my music politics free, unless it's maybe like John Lennon.
Well, you know, John Lennon got involved with politics, and look what happened to John Lennon.
Yeah.
So, but it's, I don't think, you know, politics and rock and roll mix, in my opinion. And I try to stay away from that as much I can. I mean, once in a while I'll make a crack, you know, but, you know, I will say I'm a Trump supporter.
Okay. But that's about it. Well, fair enough. And it's so, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's the freedom.
All the politicians, you know, have skeletons in the closet, but, you know, I think Trump is the strongest leader that we got, you know, on the table.
Right. And you heard it from the man himself. Ace, I want to thank you so much for your time here. I just want to ask you one more question. You mentioned the Kiss cruise. Has there been any recent contact with Kiss in recent times, or has it been all focused on, of course, the fantastic record Origins Volume 2?
We talk to each other from time to time, touch bases. Gene called me a couple of weeks ago. I never got back to him.
Okay.
I will. You know, I stay in touch with Doc McGee. You know, Doc always, you know, he manages Kiss. He used to manage Bon Jovi and a lot of other acts. And he always said, you know, Ace, you got any questions? Because I don't have a manager. I manage myself. So Doc always said, you know, if you got any questions about anything, just don't hesitate to give me a call. Because he managed me when I was in Kiss during the reunion tour, and we became friends during that period. So,
what's it like being managed by Doc McGee?
Well, Doc's a very, very knowledgeable manager and a great deal maker. You know, a lot of deals are made on the golf course, and he plays golf a lot. You know, he even plays golf with my attorney.
Really?
Peter Paterno. So that doesn't hurt.
No, that's awesome. I think he seems like a cool guy. I'd love to talk to him one day also. Well, Ace, again, thank you so much for your time. And everybody, make sure to go check out Origins Volume 2 on Entertainment One, September 18th, 2020.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ace. There it was. My exclusive interview with Ace Frehley. I want to thank Ace for doing his first Zoom interview with me on the Cassius Morris show. Never has Ace ever done a video interview face-to-face with someone. So, it was so funny. I remember the classic Kiss story that Paul used to tell, that when they had reflective amplifiers on tour, Ace would often walk up to the amplifier, look at himself in the reflection, and just start laughing. And it's so funny because we answered this call. Ace sort of looks at what he's looking at, like him and me, and he looks at himself in the reflection of the webcam, and he just laughed. And that's when he said, "This is my first time doing a video interview like this." So he just took one look at both of our webcams, and he just laughed. So I mean, it was just a priceless Ace moment, so crazy to share some moments with this guy. I mean, this, literally, and I know it's millions of other people share this, but I mean, grew up with this dude on my bedroom walls, grew up buying action figures of this guy, wearing a wristband with this dude's face on it in the 5th grade. So just really thankful that these connections are able to happen. And thank you guys for continuing to check them out so I can continue to facilitate them. Till next time, this is Cassius Morris signing off saying, rock on.